Hello everyone, welcome to the talk show Extreme Gratitude. And today on my talk show, we have with us a young and a dynamic entrepreneur who recently started his startup, and just after doing the architecture, he invested in himself. And right now we are sitting here at his co-working space. It is a co-working capital which not only inspire but you can collaborate and create. So please welcome Mr. Tejas Pawani. Thank you, Tejas. Thank you for joining this talk.
Thank you, Arvind. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Okay, so this is my first question. You did architecture, right? You did graduation, but right after that, you started this co-working space. So I just want to understand, like, what was your thought process? Why did you opt for doing this and not doing a regular job? What was your idea?
So after my graduation, I actually moved to Bombay. I started my first job as an architect in Mumbai. I was there for 2 years. For some reason, we had to move back to Baroda, and I was moving back to Baroda. I was actually finding for jobs, but unfortunately, what I was being paid there, I was not being offered something similar here. Of course, that was going to be a very big dent to my self-respect because you'd always want to earn more. So while I was in Bombay also, I was designing an office for my friend in Vapi, and we do a lot of Pinterest. So that time I came across such offices where the design was a mimicry of a living room. I actually searched more about it and I got to know that there are these new concepts of office spaces that are coming up which make people more comfortable and are actually moving away from the traditional cubicle type mundane office setups, which inspired me a lot. And just because I was too much into this zone of wanting to start something on my own someday, I thought maybe this is the best thing to do. You get to design a great office and also be a part of it.
Right.
So when I moved back here, and I didn't end up finding a job, this was something I was actually doing to pass my time, just to making presentations and business models. What if someday something happens? And all of that effort, something I was thinking so positively, actually manifested.
Okay.
And in 2020, when we got a go ahead from my partners, investing partners, which is Bangla Group, a very reputed builder group in Baroda, we actually started this co-working space because they also believe that at an age where everybody is actually wanting to be independent, not employed in somebody's company, there have to be spaces which can cater to such single freelancers, solopreneurs, small team at a prime location, which otherwise is very difficult.
Right.
Because if I would have moved here and I wanted to start my own practice and I wanted a good office at a good location, one, it would burn a hole in my pocket, and second, there wouldn't be any carpet area which could, cater to small offices. So that was the whole idea that in a new setup, we have smaller offices where people can come together, work, and that energy is very different. That is what I was running after, and luckily that has happened here.
Great. Nice to know that. But my question is regarding Tejas about how did you convince these investors? So I would not ask for your pitch exactly, but what was that in your presentation that they got convinced and invested in your idea?
So if I go back to the time when I was actually making the presentation, we actually do a SWOT analysis in our architecture presentation where we discuss about the strength, weakness, opportunity and threats of a project. So I use the same model here to justify this business model. And the most important thing in this was that actually when you look at it, we do bring a lot of people together, we pull a lot of people together, and at a business point of view is actually when it reaches a certain point, it is profitable. Why? To convince the investor, because of course whenever somebody is putting their money, they would want to know how it comes back, it comes more in number, and there's always an option of scalability. So, but apart from that, the humane part of this project is how we actually help budding entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, freelancers to get a taste of the corporate setup. Okay. And with Startup India and so much ecosystem developing in India, there is actually a requirement of this. So when we look at tier 1 and tier 2 cities, this model, because there is a proof of concept, it was not very difficult for me to convince my investors. But the only question we had is, would this work in Vadodara or not? Because here there is not a lot of startups happening. Bangalore, Mumbai, NCR, Hyderabad, all of that happens. So and this model is extremely capital intensive. So in the beginning, a lot of money has to be put in.
Right.
So anybody would think about it. But when you look at the bottom line where we're actually wanting people, and this is similar to how Uber works. You don't buy a car, but 3 to 4 people share the cab
Correct.
And they don't have to invest in a car, but they actually get what they want, a ride from A to B
Right.
in a comfortable setup.
Correct.
Everybody pays a small part of the entire ride,
Right.
which is feasible to them,
Mhm.
and the Uber driver actually makes more money while taking 4 or 5 people.
Right.
So the shared economy, which is
Right.
happening in terms of fast food, where there are these kitchens which are called
Mhm.
what are these kitchens called?
A cloud kitchen.
Cloud kitchens, the shared economy in cabs. All of this is working in a way where people have to shell out little but get good quality at a good location. And
Yeah. Just digging down more into this. Again, how many rounds of interview or that presentation happened with investors? If you could tell us about that and a little bit in detail why they chose you, because I believe there were many competitors along with you, right? And what was that, we can say, USP or your selling idea that they chose you?
correct. So in terms of competitors, there were actually other co-working brands here in Burda within the same space. When I approached them, I always had a background of their granddaughter and daughter being a friend of mine.
Mhm.
So it was a little easier for me to get an audience to pitch my startup idea.
Mhm.
But of course, anybody who's putting their money would also think of if this is feasible or not.
Right.
So a couple of times I had to meet
Mhm.
Shri K.C. Patel sahib, who's the founder of
Mhm.
Mandla Group, and Manish Patel, who's their son and who's now handling the entire business,
Mhm.
to actually make a presentation where the business part of it is reflected. All the ideas, all the presentation, all of that is a fancier part of the startup, but the real numbers, what would be the top line, bottom line, when would be the ROI, all of that was actually asked from me.
Right.
Which without an MBA, I kind of worked it out in a way that it makes sense. The basic premise is that it should be logical.
Right.
We set a desk price, and
Okay.
they know when they are into real estate, they,
Right.
they sell houses and offices and retail spaces. They would understand even if a desk price is priced say, between this to this,
Right.
a consumer would come and purchase it. So a lot of it from my end was very weak in the beginning, but their strategic help from their team members helped us bring it to a price. Then we had a number of desks in a given carpet area, and then we had all the numbers worked out. So a couple of that, even before they gave me their own space, they asked me to go around the entire city of Vadodara to find out a possible location where this can happen. And when I did that and I ended up with a list, they thought that maybe why not have this set up in a space that they already have of their own. Which was in this building where when I was standing on the ground floor waiting for the keys to come, I saw there are the likes of KPMG and Deloitte and Shriram Finance, PI Industries. I thought, why wasn't I aware of this building? So a lot of people here in Bharat not aware that there are good corporate commercial buildings also, which is very niche to the companies only. So when the members of the company are looking for buildings, only they would know that such buildings happen. But now because of a co-working space here, so many other people, so many freelancers, so many guests of these freelancers when they come in, they're oh, Bharat also has such good corporate commercial buildings. So how this helps the builder is their name comes up in a way that okay, they do provide quality locations. So it is a hand in hand. When a building is set up for co-working spaces there, a lot of footfall happens, and the audience is aware of this building, the setup, where the location is, how good the infrastructure is, and slowly other offices are also sold.
Right.
So when you find a good builder and set up a co-working space in a building, it actually helps the builder sell other spaces also. So that is how it has benefited in some or the other way to other members also.
Right. Yeah, because I was just wondering, because you have done your technical studies, right, in architecture, the designing part and all. But when it comes to selling your idea, you need to come up with the money part as well, right?
Correct.
Because you have to convince your investors that okay, this is how the budget would be X, and if you invest in my idea, I can give you 2X or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was good. You honestly shared that okay, it was not mostly done by you, but they helped you.
Of course, yes.
So-
I always believe even if your idea is brilliant, nothing can happen single-handedly.
Right.
It's always someone, even as a silent partner at the back, whose confidence in you, whose support with you. Because after we opened the first space, immediately after 1.5 months, COVID was hit. Someone like me who had blown such a big bubble of this entire startup was so heartbroken. And I thought, people are not allowed to leave their homes.
Yeah.
Why would they inquire about my spaces?
Yeah.
And I just started, we had no proof of concept. So it is that time when these investors, this team at Mangla Group told me, it's all right, this happens, this is a time, this will pass.
Right.
Everybody is affected by this, not just you.
Right.
Have patience. If our idea is actually good, at the right time, this will click.
Right.
So those 4 or 5 months and there was no movement, we were just there. We showed up. That is what was most important. Showing up and being there, still selling your idea to whoever comes, even if they don't close, just be there positively. And that actually worked out for us.
Yes, absolutely. And I can see that it is flourishing right now.
Yes.
So good. Now coming back to your technical sides, what are your expertise in your designing or architecture? If you could tell us about that.
Okay. Again, in my practice, we have a studio which is named Math Studio, which is between me and my very good friend Madhuri. It's actually the initials of ours. It's Madhuri plus Tejas.
Oh, okay.
That's Math Studio. To be very honest about it, we are a very brand new practice. I had my experience in Bombay. She had been freelancing here for quite some years. So now that we've come together, both of our ideas, both of our languages, we try and pass on to our clients. We believe that everything, if it's less, it's more. A very famous architect's quote. And minimalism is something that we always approach as a design language. If it's too gaudy, if it's too much of it, we don't like it and we don't design that way. So our practice, expertise would be a very big word because they're very new. There are a lot of great architects who have their specific.
No, but why I ask you about this, because I feel that the space, whatever I have experienced for last few months, it seems like you guys have that that knowledge, that idea. How people would come here and what they would look for.
Right.
So that's why I'm asking, there must be some expertise. You must have thought of something. You must be taking some references, experiences of other people. And about the designing part, so is it that literally you have designed that? Okay, this floor would be like this. The phone booth will be here. The recreational area would be there. So everything was your and your partners?
Correct.
Okay.
So in our 5 years of architecture training, we got colleges, we got mentors who taught us about how to approach a design by keeping people first. So anything is designed around how people sit, stand, walk, what is their mood when they move from one place to another, all of that. So whenever we designed this, we always thought that all our public spaces remain in the beginning. So our lounge area, our meeting rooms, our phone booths are always the beginning. While you go deeper in the office, they become personal spaces. So it's how psychology also works. So when you're moving deep inside, you're actually more zoned into working for your personal stuff, and as you move out, you would experience this. We also have this here, whenever there's 1:30, 2 o'clock time, or 4:30, 5 p.m. time, where everybody is coming to the cafeteria for a coffee break, they actually transition into something that they want to relax.
Correct.
While you walk back, this 15-20 steps actually put you again in a zone that, okay, I have to work. So all of this research, all of this experience of how people think, how they want it, has helped us come up with this trial. Of course, we'd say if this can get better, but this is one workout of how the space can be like.
Okay. And you just mentioned about the people part, right? So, and I see that in your day-to-day life, how you treat people, not only your client and other guests, but also your staff. I would like to know, of course, as an entrepreneur, you have to be, people friendly, and that what really matters. What is your idea about dealing with people? The human part.
Okay.
Because I found you a very soft-spoken person. You are always smiling. You treat people very well. Did you learn that, or is it there in your family background that because very rare people are like you who are very friendly. So if you could tell me about
So first of all, the entire shray of this I would give to my mother, because she's a person who I've been observing my entire life, and her conduct has been such that she's always taught me to be nice to people.
Right.
All of that, of course, comes from an experience of how maybe you might not be treated well in your past, and you would have wanted to be treated a certain way, and that is how you do that first, so that you can get that.
Right.
So this has always stuck with me, like she said, if you are nice, irrespective of the other person not being nice to you, and that person might not be nice to you even after they've not been nice to you, you've been nice to them, someone else who's much more important later will be nice to you, so that this niceness that was not reciprocated would take 2x, 10x maybe help you out.
Okay.
And hasn't that worked out for me? That has worked out for me. For someone like me who had no background in business, or who was just starting out, was just too. I've known people who quote me as over enthusiastic sometimes. When I decide something, I get so excited about it. I maybe do more than which is required, but still have put faith in me and have seen a good part of it, believed in me, given me an opportunity, and that has worked out. So I have an entire circle which I think not treated well, wanting to be treated well, treating well people first, and then getting the result of it.
Okay.
So and I think why not smile? If God's given me 2 dimples, I should always show them off. And smiling, then you know that when you are smiled at, you feel good. So like I see you smiling also all the time, and it makes me feel good. So I said, someone else is doing, let us do more.
Correct.
So that's the whole idea about being nice to people.
This is my next question is about communication. How important is communication when it comes to a businessman? I believe it is very important part when you have to communicate with not only your clients, staff, but your potential customers and everything. And I see you communicate very well. Again, my question is, how do you learn this technique at very early stage of life? Because looking at outside, it seems that you must be having at least 10 years of experience as a businessman. So what is it that you learned so early?
Thanks for that compliment. I'm always looking for compliments, and people say that you might be someone who's done this before. But I guess communication, all of it, mostly the development of your language is how you have a circle of friends around you. So that is one thing. I've got great friends, be them supporting me or in terms of how they are from various backgrounds. From when I was in my hometown, Bhuj, which is in Kutch, I've had friends from whom I've learned how to, in different phases, different times of your life, how to have a conduct in a way that it's similar to someone who's maybe not at the same level of yours, lower or higher. Because all of us were starting out. Somebody was doing something, somebody else was doing something. So when we all got together and met at this one place, we used to discuss how this person asked me a question and how he expected me. A lot of it has happened by us not doing something right. The सामने वाला person telling us that आओ करियो ना तो शायद तुमने आप ही गए पर मान तो नहीं चलो बीजी बार. So when someone has said that to us, we've known that next time we have to do it in this way. When I moved back to Baroda, most of it, our entire architecture curriculum is in a way that you have to prepare your designs, and in the end there are these juries where you have to make sure your communication sells your design.
Right.
So if you're not good at it, you fail.
Right.
So nobody wants to fail. So you have to make sure that you're getting better.
Right.
So most of it happens by reading. Most of it happens by discussions, dialogues with your friends. And third, I think why this it's very important in business is because the only thing which will at all sell whatever we are trying to sell the service is by convincing people through communication only. Either it can be either verbal or when we're doing marketing, whenever I'm doing Instagram ads or we're writing blogs, we have to make sure that whatever means of communication it is, the message passes. Correct. So a lot of time, lot of thought is given, and second, a lot of it is passion because now it feels very effortless when we talk about how a co-working space is better than a traditional lease because we know so many facts that I know when we speak that with flair, it's just that the samne wala person feels, he's so convincingly talking about it. I'm sure this person knows. Correct. And that is when they decide to let's try this out.
Right.
So communication is the key. I think even in friendship, in relationships, in every which way we've got to know this, that better, great communication helps solve a lot of problems.
Right. That's right. That is. So what is next?
Next, okay. This is also one more thing that I read somewhere is not to make very long-term plans because then you are expecting too much from the every other passing day to convert into that, which is thought of a very long-term plan. Small-term goals. We were a 40-seat space. COVID hit. It took a little more time to convert or scale. Now we are a 200-seat space. And the idea is always to be bigger while we can maintain the quality of the service.
Okay.
We get a lot of calls from several builders and several other customers who say that we have a space, why don't you convert it? But when we understand that that kind of rapid scalability can bring you on the map, but if it's not dealt with right, you can also come down very fast. So we want to be slow, steady, we want to be niche, and we want to have a community which is happy by whatever we are providing.
Right.
So the next step is maybe, I just sometimes you don't have to say it, so that doesn't make sense. But next target is of course to be a bigger, better space startup. And also in our architecture practice, we want to be able to do various types of projects so that it satisfies us as designers. Residential, commercial, retail, more of architecture. That's what we are striving while we do every project.
Okay. Now, shifting a little bit from your profession to your other interests and hobbies, because I have seen your Instagram and I can see that, and I have also seen here you sing very well, you play some instruments, right, and you dance also. So how did that happen? I mean, what is that other side?
Okay. Again, I believe that whatever chance you get, we should do more of what we love. And that keeps you sane. Sometimes when you're just running after just to work, of course your work also you should like, but just after that, it burns you out, it exhausts you so much that somehow then you lose track of how whatever is happening. So I kind of make sure that on weekends, Saturdays, Sundays, I try and pursue my hobbies more. Singing is something I found out when I was very early in my own school, when someone chose me for a choir, and then they picked me and they said me, why don't you come to me, I'll teach you how to sing better. That's how I was taught singing. Musical instruments just naturally came to me. I had a cousin who used to play a small keyboard. She taught me a tune. I got to hack of the tune. Then I was behind my mother to buy me a keyboard because I wanted to actually be better at music. And of course they then arranged for it. I practiced a little bit. I'm not a professional at any of these things, but it's just to make myself feel good. And sometimes in doing that, if it's making other people around us feel better, so we keep doing that here also. Someone told me that why don't you bring your instruments here, why don't you sing with us? So we did that once. It actually was a nice experience, and now we keep doing that on Fridays as well. And dance is again something, because I think it's all connected to music. Like someone who likes music somehow finds something with instruments, something with singing, and that music then also becomes an expression through dance. I don't know, I just say I'm a little lucky to be able to dance also a little bit. Again, I was found by a professional when I was in Bhuj. He told me to come to his class. He immediately gave me the job of teaching. And then he taught me in a technical way. So we also had a small startup of a dance class when I was in my 11th standard. That was the first entrepreneurial experience. We had a big board, we had a small dancing space where we had small little children who came to us, and that was my first idea, getting an idea of how to running a small business like a dance class. So yeah, I've been doing all of it just to feel good in general, and each and everything has helped me do whatever currently I'm doing.
But yes, you should continue doing that. You're doing good.
Unless everything can keep happening, I would love to keep doing.
So can I assume that your this architecture work, your profession, is not your passion?
No, that would be wrong to say. If I wouldn't have been passionate about architecture, me knowing myself, I wouldn't have done that at all in any which way. If I have this business, why would I have to do my practice? But just because I like designing, I like when we get a chance to bring everything that's trending in terms of design to members, we do it, I do it. If you have to weigh what is more important, that would be like choosing between two children of yours, which is very difficult. This has become something of an everyday life, co-work. So it seems it's more important. Architecture is still a beginning. I think whenever this sets up and goes to an autopilot mode, I want to do more of architecture. And I have 24 hours in a day. I need 8 hours of sleep. Apart from that, whatever time I have, I can split between two professions. nothing is so demanding of me that it takes up my entire time. So I think both of these are possible. And if I can start another business, I would love to start that also, because this is the whole idea. When you want to get involved in something in a creative process, your brain starts working, and when you solve a problem, you feel good about yourself.
Right.
So a lot of investors I know invest in a lot of startups. Why? Because I think they want to get into the process of problem solving in a problem that these entrepreneurs have started finding out.
Right.
So yeah, I think nothing. I'm not passionate about anything that I'm not doing. But a little more time to something, a little less time to something. That's how it's distributed.
Okay. And little bit different question, and whatever I have seen you here in the premise, you are always well dressed. You have that confident walk, and you seem to be more of a classic kind of a person, and that tells from your Instagram, the way you have posted the posts and the reels as well, it looks well organized.
Right.
So my question is it natural to you? Because there are many businessmen who like to roam around अपने पोतानी style में but what is that habit of you, like why do you like to be tip top all the time?
I think part of your job is done when you're dressed well. So if you're dressed well, someone who is going to listen to you, if they're partly impressed by how you're dressed, they are more focused and they pay more attention to you. I don't know how much right is it, because when
I
you
think because of the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, it speaks a lot, because the other person will start, the first judgment will that okay, this guy is professional, right? Whatever he will say, that would be very precise and mindful, right? So
again, see, when you give that feedback of yours, it gives me a good feeling, because all of this was also researched. Everything has been thought of, planned and put in place so that something can work. When, of course, like I was just going to say, that when we see that Mark Zuckerberg doesn't waste time on thinking what to wear, it gives you some, should we think about what I should wear today? But everything to each their own. Every business is different. Requirement of your title, of your part of the job is different. I'm sure everyone under Mark Zuckerberg would be dressing well, because that's how the business is run.
So, and because he is probably he is at that stage where he doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to. Steve Jobs doesn't need to. He can wear the same black t-shirt and same denim and just walk around. But of course, maybe sometime you reach at a point where then you will be exhausted. Okay, now I don't want to think about my dressing. Either some people are into dressing and they do it naturally. Others have to do it because that's the part of their, that's a requirement of their job. It just comes to you later in life. Right now, it's required of me. I put thought into it. I make sure that if that is done, 30% of my job is done. So I have to think or talk better, lesser.
Correct.
So that's how the idea is. But I'd like to think that I naturally want to dress better. I'm just trying to be modest here, that it's thought of. But yeah, it's good when you're into designing and creativity. Even the tiles that you put on Instagram, you want them to be right, because that's what I think the architecture curriculum does to you. When they give us a pencil and ask us to sharp it so pointed, not with a sharpener but a cutter. I think it's like that movie Karate Kid where Jackie Chan asks the guy to put the coat. He does it not knowing why he's doing it, but somehow in his cognitive mind, it becomes a practice and it helps him. So the course of architecture, I guess 1 year, 2-3 years back, was declared as the most difficult course. And we've gone through it. We know how difficult it is. If it's in a college where your mentors are actually very strict, it's a difficult process. You make a model 3 nights, they don't like it, they smash it. Imagine 3 sleepless night works is trashed and not appreciated. I will not say abused, because sometimes that also happens and it breaks your morale. So you have to put yourself into this regime of thinking everything, putting everything in place, so that there is a more possibility of it to become a success.
Correct.
So I think that has made me a little OCD also. Like the books have to be like this, the chappal has to be like this, the plant has to be like this. It's all because of how whatever process we've gone through in our academics. Me personally, through my architecture academics.
Right. And I'll come to the point of plants a little bit later. But my next question is about the self-talk and your internal dialogue that we say. What are your thoughts about that?
Okay, I do this a lot. Because I'm kind of single-handedly doing most of the things, even at home and even here. I have to find someone who maybe thinks like I do. So if I don't have that kind of a partner present in my office, I try and do that with myself. I just pose questions, pose situations, talk to myself in a way that I only have to find the answer of it. So my hands keep moving a lot because I'm constantly thinking that if a client comes to me and tells me that this is a problem, I just have to create problems to be able to find solutions beforehand.
Correct.
If you start finding water when the house is burning, it's going to burn down.
Right.
So we know that it has to be well prepared. So I do a lot of self-talk, kind of want to beat myself in that self-talk, and in that process maybe you come up with answers. So that is a practice I do.
My question was, let me put it differently, let me be more precise. When I say self-talk, in a way, whenever we are alone or with some people, there is this always internal dialogue going on, right? We always either we are thinking, we are speaking something, judging, saru che nathi saru, ke mara ave ji baki che. Like I'm discussing with you, but in my mind, sometimes some other situation is also going on. It may happen, right? So, and it may be positive, it may be negative, it may be neutral also. So, do you think that marathi thai jashe, hu kari nakhe che, ha bo problem. So, what is your predominant self-talk? It is mostly about positive. It is about neutral. I'm asking that.
Correct. So most of it, of course, starts with a negative thought because we are always more afraid. Because when we know that piece to piece is put something together, only the person who's made it knows how fragile it is or how strong it is. At some time, something might not be as strong because it takes a lot of time.
Right.
So the predominant thought is a little scarier one.
Okay.
But because we know now, and through the dialogue that keeps going around, also a lot of Instagram posts and memes and all of that, is that you have to end up making that thing into a positive thing. Okay. So also a lot of times we ચવાય એના કરતા વધારે ખાવાનું પછી ચાવતા વિચારી લેવાનું કે આ કેવી રીતે પચાવીશું.
Okay.
So I kind of do that more. Sometimes take a lot on my plate. It has to come with a little confidence in yourself that you will be able to do it. Maybe at that moment of time you might not know. So you're scared, you're more anxious. But you have to give time to it. You should have to also be able to take the accountability if it doesn't happen right. Take the ownership of I tried this, it didn't happen. Give me more time, I'll be able to do it. Rather than just putting your hands up, मैं तो कोशिश करी पर ना थी. That's not an approach that works out. So mostly a negative thought, which for a longer time thought is backed with a solution to end on a positive note. That thai jasa, curry rice, one word.
Okay.
So that's how the train of thought is.
Okay. Right. And whenever you feel a little bit low, or what do you do then? Do you regularly practice some meditation or any other techniques for to help yourself to come up with your better version?
Right. I wish I could do more of meditation and do a lot of silent sitting. I do that a lot in the morning time. I wake up early. I take a long break until I take my breakfast because I think that is the time where I also sit myself a lot. But after the day starts, say from 9 a.m. onwards, it becomes a little more chaotic. Something is happening here, something is happening on the side. So I don't get that much of time to be a little peace at myself. Whenever I'm low, I do two things. I either dial my friends or on speed dial. I talk to them, I tell them, and they listen to me. They give great feedback, which calms me down. Or if they are busy now, because everybody has their own tasks to do for the day, I hop onto something of what I do for my hobby. I either forcefully sit with my guitar or with something of music, or take a book and do that. It takes me time to transit into becoming calm, but that's my way of taking a break from my low parts.
Okay. And I have never seen you getting angry. Is it right? Or or we haven't seen that part, or we should not see.
Right. That part of me only comes out in my most safest space, I would say.
Okay.
Here I try and keep calm, even if something is not going right, and I want to get a little more, a little more what do you say, बरं अग्र थाईने काही सॉल्व करा बदले, I let that means I mean as soon as I open the door to my home, is where all of it comes out.
Okay.
So a lot of times I tell my friends that my mom is kind of someone who maybe absorbs a lot of what I go through at my work. She's a great lady, but and she never ever comes back with something that if you can't do it, don't do it. Right. She knows, of course, she knows how my entire so that is where all the absorption happens. Then I'm like zero. I come back to office and it's all calm and nice. It's not that I get angry a lot. I was someone who used to get angry a lot because things were not going as I wanted them in life. Now, when I've tried thinking more positively and have seen results of that, I understand that anger is actually what Buddha says is holding a burning coal in your hand, and before you throw it at someone, most of it burns your hand. So
we are getting wisdom from
no, I've read all of this. When I read all of this, I try and implement it blindly. I સાચે હાથ મળી જશે તો નુકસાન મને જ વધારે છે તો કરવું જ શું કરવા ના થયું તો ના થયું. This was not meant to happen. This is અને બીજું પણ બહુ જ સરસ કોટ છે કે સારા લોકો સાથે ખરાબ પણ એમનું સારા માટે થાય.
Okay.
So
સારા લોકો જોડે ખરાબ પણ
એમના સારા માટે થાય. So right now when things didn't work out for me during COVID time, I said મેં તો કોઈનું કાંઈ નથી બગાડ્યું, મારા સાથે મારું સ્ટાર્ટઅપના સમય કેમ COVID આવી ગયું. But look at this. In COVID, people started leaving their traditional visas and finding flexible spaces. And that's when this quote came back to me and I said, સારું છે ને ત્યારે ના થયું તો હવે બેટર થાય છે. So if you kind of doing right, તો તમારા સાથે જે ખરાબ પણ થતું હશે એવું જ માનીને ચાલો કે તમારા સારા માટે છે. Later maybe it will be compensated.
My last couple of questions. Are you at peace?
I'm at more peace than I was before. I have a target of what will bring me the ultimate peace, and I'm working towards it positively. And yes, if God will be kinder, He is always also being very kind still, and everything happens the way I want it to happen. Of course, it's not always happen 100% the way. I understand 70-80% if it might happen, I will be at more peace. But otherwise, bottom line, I am at peace, but I want to be more peaceful, more available for myself while everything is being taken care of the things that I'm working for right now.
And your Instagram bio you have mentioned plant dead. So dead. So what is that? I mean, like your father. What is like?
I'm 30. At my age, a lot of my friends are already father of one or two. So I have to find children to take care of. That paternal instinct is overflowing now. But I found a love for plants when I was in Bombay, when I had a place of my own. Finally, when it was just me and my mom who was staying. So that is when I thought that maybe I can take care of them. I'll have space for them. I started with one. I wanted to see if I can. And when a new leaf came out, I said, wow, something that I did became so beautiful. It's always of your effort showing results, and you're feeling good and you want to do more of it. So I think all of that has come down to there. When you water it every day, it doesn't immediately happen. Slowly, a flower also came out, and that gave me happiness. So this is very personal, I think, that I want to see my efforts, coming to fruition. So that is when I thought, when you give time, when you show up on time, you give patience. You show patience and you wait for the results, they will always come from a small plant. So then I made sure that I bring a lot of plants. I have a lot of plants at home. On Sunday, my activity that takes the most of my time is plucking out dead leaves, watering them, making them more greener, and that gives me satisfaction and peace. So this is my love for plants.
I think that teaches, because till now I had impression of yours as if because you spoke so fast.
I speak fast,
right?
I know.
So I thought you were a very fast person, and you want to do that. But when you just explain your this side, I feel that okay, you have that other part also, which gives you gives you peace, that teaches you patience, right? Because growing a plant is not a keep pani daroj api દીધું ને થઈ ગયું, right? And if you're very serious about that, it shows your the other side of yours, where you get that energy, that thoughts, right? And So nice to know that.
I think most of the learnings that I have, I told you I read a lot of quotes. I take a lot of learnings from the activities you do. So not something which is taught. Is nothing is textbook. Everything is an experienced or learned process. And I also believe that a business, when you do it, better way of learning how to do a business is by doing it rather than learning it from somewhere. I don't know the process of MBA and everything, but I think it is not very important for you to have an MBA to start a business. I want to convey this to a lot of people who want to start up, not to worry about not having an MBA or how will things happen. Always start small. Get the feedback from your clients, take them very seriously, act on them immediately. Take care of the first set of clients, and word of mouth is the best way to gain more customers. So yeah, learn by doing, do more of what you love, and wait, be patient, show up every day, have dedication, and be passionate about what you're doing. I think all of these, if you have, nothing can stop you.
Correct. I think I'm good from my side. Is there anything that's...
I want to say this, that you're doing great job.
Okay.
When somebody lands on your page and looks at these different people you interview from different professions. Someone like me, of course.
I know both cameras are working.
Yeah. Someone like me who actually learns a lot from people doing different things. Like I told you, my friends, when I was back in my hometown, I used to listen to them, what they are doing, how they are solving problems. It helps a lot because it wouldn't be the same thing that you are doing and they are doing. But the process, if you kind of implement in your work, it can always do wonders. So thank you for doing this, and keep doing more of this. And it was great talking.
Same here. Thank you.